Hello everyone, my name is Enrico. I love open source. I'm participating in many open source projects, so I'm here to talk about two interesting, really cool open source projects. One is Apache Solr, and the other one is LangStream. I'm working at Datastax, and in my team, we work on open source software. I'm participating in messaging and streaming communities, especially Apache Pulsar. But also, I've started together with a few colleagues this brand new open source project that is LangStream.ai. And today we are going to see more what is LangStream.ai and one of the possible ways of going in production with generative AI applications. So this is our agenda. I'm going to focus mostly on LangStream because Alessandro already talked a little bit about RAG. So in the demo, we will see a real world application of RAG. So I will talk more then later. So what is LangStream? How can you use LangStream? Why you should use LangStream? A very high-level architecture of an application that runs with LangStream on Kubernetes, and then an example with Apache Solr as a vector database. So what is LangStream? I don't know if you ever played with libraries for generative AI like LangChain, Llama Index. There are plenty, especially LangChain and Llama Index are the more powerful, but they are libraries. So with those libraries, you can connect with the LLM, you can do vectorization and all the cool things that Alessandro talked about. But LangStream is not a library. It's a framework for developing generative AI applications. So going from development to production. So it's a full runtime environment for applications and also for integrations of your data with your vector databases, because you need those pieces of information in your vector database to prevent hallucinations from the LLM. And also it is powered by proven industry standards like Kubernetes or Apache Kafka. Again, what is generative AI and the building blocks? Usually when you deal with generative AI, you talk about LLMs, so large language models. And in LangStream, there is support out of the box for the most common. So OpenAI, you can use also models from Hugging Face, Google Vertex AI, and recently we added AWS Bedrock. But there is really big explosions of LLMs, also commercial like OpenAI or Azure, but also free, like Ollama, for instance. It is already integrated with many popular vector databases, especially Pinecone, Milvus. At Datastax, we have Apache, Datastax Astra DB, and also that is based on Apache Cassandra, but also Apache Solr. And so today we are going to use Solr as vector database. It already supports many embedding services out of the box, especially Hugging Face, both API and local models, because Hugging Face also has an API, you don't need to run the models locally. OpenAI, Azure, Microsoft, Google, Vertex AI, Bedrock, and other models. It supports prompt templating, because prompt engineering is really important for interacting with the LLMs. And also it integrates some agents that are able to perform re-ranking over the results of a query to the vector database. We started LangStream.ai because we found that when you want to build an application and leverage generative AI, you find many good initiatives on the web. Many people are trying, theories, but when you want to build something that really goes to production, you need an environment, a runtime. So it's not enough to write your Python code, but you need something that easily goes to production, and it is already compliant with all the best practices around performances, scalability, security. And this is why we started LangStream. It's a brand new open source project. It started a few months ago, but it's already taking off. So the focus is for developers, for enterprise developers. Many people working in AI are data scientists, but one of the missions of LangStream is to bring AI to all the developers, to enterprise developers. So if I am a front-end developer, and I want to build my chatbot, I don't have to learn Python to interact with an LLM. I need something that is easy without code. So this is the mission of LangStream. No code, build production-ready generative AI application based on very good other projects like LangChain, for instance. Another crucial part is to deal with unstructured text. I have to stay here for the microphone. Sorry. Because the language is unstructured. So when you, for instance, if you want to build a chatbot application that answers to questions about the documentation of your product, you start from the documentation of the product. This is not structured. It's not a database table with a schema. Maybe it's a set of PDF files, or it is a website. So it is important to have tools that are easy to use to index unstructured data and make it fit a structured database. Another important point for LangStream is that it is event-driven. Event-driven applications or architectures. It's a pattern that allows you to build enterprise applications that are scalable by design, okay? And also they are very robust, they are fail-tolerant, because if you are streaming under the hood, you can easily retry on failures, you can perform micro-batching. For instance, if you are calling APIs to compute embeddings on a text. So most of the times it happens that you pay for OpenAI, and you call an OpenAI API, you give a PDF, a text, and you get the vector with the embeddings. You can do it one call at a time, but it is better to batch the calls. So this is something that if you have streaming technologies under your application, it is easy because everything happens in the background asynchronously. You can retry failures. Other important things, Kubernetes is a proven standard. And when you run application in Kubernetes, you have, it's really easy to scale out the applications, to have monitoring. LangStream, it is integrated with Prometheus metrics, so you can have very nice and easy to understand dashboards with Grafana out of the box. You deploy the application on Kubernetes, and then it works, and you can see what's happening in your application. This is for free. LangStream is totally open source. It's free. It's on GitHub. Here you can find the link. The presentation will be shared. And so, as any other open source projects, we are simply building a community of users that are trying to find the answers to this kind of problems. Yes. And so there is a Slack workspace. You can connect with me, with Nicola, with the other people in the team. The community is growing. And yes, if you have a GitHub account and you want to put your star on the GitHub repository, then it's great for us. Okay, good. So how can you? Yes, good. So sample usages of LangStream that we have seen up to now. So the most common is indexing a corpus of documentation. So you have your documents. I will show in the demo how to index the documentation of LangStream and build a chatbot over it. So you start from some documents, you compute the embeddings, the vector embeddings, and then you write to a vector database like Solr or Cassandra. Or you can easily build the chatbots with memory, because LLMs are a static model. So if you want to build a chatbot, every time you interact with the LLM, you have to tell it the whole history of the conversation. You can easily build a question and answer chatbot over the documentation using the RAG pattern, and this is the demo. Or, for instance, text summarization pipelines, and also having streaming helps, because when you are computing the embeddings or you are calling an LLM to build, to ask it to summarize the text, you have a huge amount of documents. So having micro batching, having streaming, you can follow the pace of the LLM, of the vector database. So a system that works with streaming is automatically handling back pressure, and you can automatically retry failures. Or a nice use case that I've seen is the chatbox. Chatbox is like a chatbot, but you start interacting with the all the assistants on the web. The assistants answer to your questions, but you can easily build an assistant that tries to keep the conversation going if it goes nowhere, because there are streams of your chats, and you can build pipelines that look into the chat history and try to help the conversation going forward. And you can also build autonomous agents. Why you should use LangStream, or you want to use LangStream? Because yes, by default we build applications for Kubernetes. We are also working on a basic Docker runtime for small scale applications. But yes, Kubernetes is currently the preferred way, especially because many people, many customers, they are using cloud services, so like AWS, Google, Azure, and then you use Kubernetes. Is really straightforward to deploy something in Kubernetes. There is an operator in LangStream, but I'll talk later. It is really easy to do prototypes. You don't write code at all. If you want, you can write Python code if you want to directly interact with LangChain or Llama Index, but there are already plenty of agents that you can use only by writing a YAML manifest. Really easy, I will show later. You can use LangChain, and also when you build your application, the model of the application is designed to be easily run there locally in the dev environment, so on your laptop. But you can import the same application to a staging environment, to production, and this is built in LangStream. Also, LangStream has been designed by enterprise developers for enterprise developers, not by data scientists for data scientists. So, for instance, multi-tenancy is built into LangStream, because when you go in production, for sure, you have to take into consideration security, authorization, multi-tenancy. And yes, we build this for developers to really help building generative AI applications. So at very, very high level, the architecture in production is you have a Kubernetes cluster, you have a broker that can be Apache Kafka or Apache Pulsar. Personally, I love more Pulsar than Kafka, but everybody knows Kafka. And then LangStream as a Kubernetes operator that creates Kubernetes objects like stateful sets, pods. So you start from a logical definition of your pipeline, and there is a planner that takes your application as input and builds an execution plan that actually can run on Kubernetes. And then the operator, the planner, deals with the scalability, with finding the best layout for your agents, your pipeline. And then you connect with all the other services. So this is the demo. I'll show you the code later, but in the demo, basically, we are going to index the LangStream documentation website. So we have two pipelines. One pipeline is the vectorization pipeline. So there is a web crawler agent that scrapes the website. Then for each page, we chunk it into smaller pieces, because when you talk with the LLM, you have a very limited space for the context that you send to the LLM. And actually you pay for the tokens that you send to the LLM. So one important technique is to split the pages that are big into smaller chunks in a very smart way. Usually you have some overlapping parts for the sentences, and then you store only the chunks to the vector database. Also, we compute the embeddings vector on each chunk, and then we store it to Solr. Then there is another pipeline that is the chatbot. Actually, it's another YAML file that starts from the question from the user. It computes the embeddings vector, then it queries the vector database, and then builds the prompt using a template engine, and then queries the LLM, and then sends the answers of the LLM in a streaming fashion to the end user, because the LLM usually, most of them, they answer one word, one token at a time. So if you are using ChatGPT, you can see this, that it is sending words one at a time or in small buffers, and this can be easily implemented with streaming. The code is on GitHub, on the LangStream repository. There is a directory with many sample applications that show you how to use Solr, all the vector databases that we support out of the box, and we have tested basically, because we are using also LangChain that already has many support drivers for many databases, but there are 10 that we support. So this is the sample code. And actually, the code for the demo is like this. This is for Mac, but you can run it also on Linux or Windows. So these are the commands that I'm going to run on my terminal. So the one is start Solr Cloud and Docker locally, one line. Then install LangStream. Brew is the package manager for Mac. So Brew install LangStream, and then LangStream Docker run. And this is the same URL query Solr from GitHub. So in this mode, LangStream runs on a Docker container locally. So you don't need Kubernetes locally, because if you want to prototype your application, you can run it on Docker, because usually you don't have to serve thousands of online users with your chatbot or with your indexing pipeline. Let's see. It takes 1 minute. So this is already starting, because I already installed downloaded the Docker image for Solr and for LangStream. 20 seconds, only some logs. And when it's ready, you will see the development UI popping up. And the bot will be ready to answer to questions about the LangStream. Because, yes, here we go. Here you can, oh, yes, there is a lag between my laptop and the screen. So here you can see the crawler that is continuing to scan the web pages. Usually it takes 2 minutes because there are 200 pages, nothing more. I'm running Solr locally. So this is a development UI that we provide out of the box, because if you want to play with your chatbot, you can do it. But we also have template for real JavaScript applications if you want to be the real chatbot for your users. And also for all the JavaScript part, we provide support for authentication with all the most important authentication providers. So security is already handled both at control plane level in the backend, and also for your application. So you can, if you are integrated with host to Google, GitHub, everything works. So what is LangStream? Okay, good. And so as you can see, the question is coming. We are using OpenAI, so this is ChatGPT, and this is trained on data up to 2021. And in 2021, LangStream wasn't a thing, really. We thought about it only in May 2023. So the LLM is answering. LangStream is an open source framework for building and running event-driven generative AI applications, and it's integrated with Pinecone and all the other things. So I can ask any other thing, anything else that is on the website. For instance, how can I crawl a website? In the prompt, I will show. I told to the I'm telling to the LLM that all the questions are referring to LangStream. So to crawl a website using LangStream, you can use the web crawler source agent, and this is an example. And this is actually the example that we are running almost. Yeah, this is very verbose, so let's go. Let me show the simple code to build this kind of chatbots that started in 1 minute on my laptop, and it takes nothing more than 1 minute, probably less time on real Kubernetes. I'm showing the code from GitHub. So this is the vectorization pipeline. Really briefly, so there is it can handle your tables, or in the case of Solr, it's collections. So there are instructions to create a collection in Solr. So when you deploy the application from dev to prod, staging, you deploy the application, and LangStream is able, if you want, to deal with all the assets that are needed for the application. Then this is a web crawler source, and I'm telling it to index docs LangStream.ai. Many other parameters that are mostly the defaults. This is one example, but this is important. From each web page, you extract the text. There are many the text extractor agent is using Apache Tika that embeds many powerful text extractor agents. So LangStream is built on top of very popular open source libraries like Apache Tika, LangChain, LangIndex, Kafka, Kubernetes. We are not reinventing the wheel because it will be stupid. Yes. So normalizing the text. These are many common steps that you do with the language processing. In this example, where we want to keep only English and French documents, actually they're only in English text, but this is only for the demo. We are splitting into chunks using a nice algorithm. Then we convert the unstructured text to a data structure in JSON, and then compute the embeddings using a model from OpenAI. This is Dex Embedding ADI 002. And then we write to Solr. So this is easy. In Solr, we only write an ID, the embeddings vector, and the text. So very simple use case for Solr. You can do much more advanced stuff, but this is only a simple demo. But it is already much powerful, as you can see in the demo. The chatbot pipeline, you start from the question, you convert it to a JSON structure, then you compute the embeddings on the query, the initial answer. You perform a KNN query to Solr, and then you call the LLM. And I want to show you the prompt. The prompt in this case is built of two parts. One is some instruction that you provide to the LLM. So I'm telling to the LLM, there is a user that is going to perform some questions, the documents below, and we are looping over the results of the query on Solr. This is standard mustache template language, so it's very popular among JavaScript developers and web developers. Take into consideration that the user is always asking questions about the LangStream project. And then you pass the question of the user. In OpenAI, in the prompt, you can tell to the LLM, this is some context, and this is what actually the user is asking. Yes, and then the pipeline ends, and it sends the output to the user. Okay. Good. So let's wrap up. So LangStream is built to answer to the questions of developers, enterprise developers who want to create applications that leverage generative AI techniques. No code, as you can see, it's only a bunch of YAML files, no Python, no Java, no JavaScript, nothing. And you can build the powerful pipelines. It is already integrated with many popular providers, especially I've seen cases with Hugging Face, OpenAI, Google Vertex. It is a complement to LangChain and LlamaIndex. LangChain and LlamaIndex, they are powerful libraries to connect to the LLM, to compute embeddings, but LangStream is a runtime. It's not a substitute for LangChain. Yes. It's powered by Kubernetes and Kafka. We are also working on a smaller runtime, only on for Docker or for VMs, because we are seeing that many enterprises, they still don't run on Kubernetes or on Docker. So a deployment for VMs is needed. And it allows you to leverage all the benefits, the goodies coming from event-driven architectures. Thanks. If you have time, please take 1 minute to start the GitHub repository, please. Slack, you can connect with us on the Slack workspace. There are other references. There is the website, but Slack is the most common way to interact with us, to ask for questions. And now we have some new initial contributors outside of Datastax. So this is great. The community is starting